Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My next guest on the Bailey Pod is the head football coach from Hononegah High School, Coach Brian Zimmerman. How you doing, Coach?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Congratulations on the big win over on Friday against the Harlem Huskies.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. We were excited to have the opportunity this season. There was a lot of hype going into it, and certainly it was a lot of fun to be part of.
Sure. Yeah, I was there right on the sideline. It was great atmosphere. I mean, you guys got some of the best fans in the Nick 10, probably within the area. People would argue that, but that's just my opinion. Coach, let's just go ahead and just dive right into things, man. First of all, again, I want to thank you for your time this evening to come in on the Bailey Pod, and let's just dive into, you guys are coming off a huge win, an impressive win in my estimation, over a really tough opponent in the Harlem Huskies. What was your preparation like during that week? Because again, how you guys came out and displayed great offense, great defense, and you played pretty well on special teams. I think there's a reason for that. And I'm thinking, just my estimation again, I'm thinking that you guys had a great week of practice.
That's absolutely true. We did have a great week of practice. And I'm going to go all the way back to part of that preparation starts way back in June. Our kids are so good about coming to our summer activities and camp and everything else. And that's really the foundation of our program where I think we get better, is in our summertime activities and so forth there. But certainly we did have a good week. It wasn't any different, honestly, than most weeks. But Monday is a big preparation day for us. We've got the kids. They actually are lifting 3 days a week on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturday mornings, believe it or not. And
Wow.
Monday's a big prep day for us. We go through everything that we do on Saturday, breaking down film and looking at our opponent. And Scott, I got to give a ton of credit to my coaching staff because they
Sure.
spend countless hours, doing that. So with all that preparation, we give all that information to the kids on Monday, and then Tuesday's kind of Tuesday and Wednesday are work days for us. We get out on the field and get after it. And Tuesdays, typically on Tuesday, we're not real happy with the way practice goes because
Sure.
they're just taking everything that we talked about on Monday and processing it. And we always know by Wednesday if they've got a handle on everything or not. And ultimately we cut them loose on Friday and let them have some fun and get after it. And,
Sure.
We've been very fortunate. Like I said, we've got a lot of returners, and we've had 2 good games. So
Sure. During the game, I mean, you guys go up at the half. You guys are up 21-7. What are some of the things that you said to your players at halftime that allowed them to really come back out second half and really not miss a beat?
Now, I don't want to correct you because it's your podcast, but was it 28? Was it 28-7? Didn't we score right there?
Was it 28-7? Okay.
I believe we scored just before half, which honestly, and the only reason I remember that, Tim, to be honest with you, is because I was just thinking, man, that's got to be a tough one to get. We got to score on them just before half, and I knew we had second half possession because we won the toss.
Right.
I knew we were coming back out on offense, and that's one of the things I strive to try to do is if we win a toss, I'm gonna defer to the second half because I like to come out in the third quarter. And have the ball.
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, we went out at half. We go outside the stadium there, up on our practice field, and the kids get some Gatorade, and the coaches have a chance to talk real quick and make any adjustments that we want to make. And like I said, I'm going to go back to my staff is fantastic. We've got guys on the sideline at the lower levels, or sophomore and freshman coaches. They're scripting what we're doing. They are, we're looking at the iPads and running back film and looking at, our alignments and there are a lot of halftime adjustments that we make, believe it or not. And, and that's, we honestly, we told the kids, hey, we always go into the third quarter. I don't care what the score is. It's 0-0. And, ultimately, we've got to perform. We got 2 more quarters to have opportunities to have fun and 2 more quarters to get better. So that's really our philosophy. And that's, we just try to keep them focused ultimately. And I felt like felt like they did a great job of that. And like I said, the first 2 games, I feel like our guys have just been doing everything that we've asked them to do, and then some. And I couldn't be happier right now.
Sure. You talked a little bit, about your staff and how important it is to have a really good staff, and how that staff allows you to, as a head coach, do some other things that some head coaches can't do because they don't have those caliber of coaches on their staff. Talk a little bit about some of your coaches and what they mean to the Hononegah program.
Well, as far as everything goes in my staff, I guess I get to be the elder guy now because it's been 30. This is my 31st season. So I've seen a lot come around. As a former player, included, I had great coaches and so forth. But I'm going to go back to actually my sophomore defensive coordinator right now. His name's Chad Smith, and he was the varsity defensive coordinator for a long time. And at one point, he got involved in some other things. He's our union president at the high school. And he, he looked at me and said, "Hey, I've got some other responsibilities going on as well." He goes, "Why don't I step down, let Mark LeMay, who's our current defensive coordinator, I'm going to let Mark, if you go with this, let Mark be the defensive coordinator at the varsity level. I'll be the one at the sophomore level. Everything's good. Chad's up in the box. Mark's on the sideline. We're all in the headsets. I've got a defensive backs coach named Brian Jenkins, who's phenomenal. Just does a great job with special teams as well. And we all work in sync defensively, and that's just my defensive guys. And then I've got, Jeremy Warren, tremendous experience. Here's a guy, he's a Hononegah alum as well. And played at Mankato State, played at Beloit College. He's been an OC, at Beloit College. He's been a head coach at, Rock Valley College. He's head coach at East, and just to have guys like that with that kind of experience, I
Sure.
got to mention Phil Adams, my offensive line coach, varsity level, just countless hours. I just sent him a message here 15 minutes ago and said, "Hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that?" And so these guys just love the game and do so much. Todd Van Skelven, he teaches himself Beloit. He's really our assistant offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach. And again, he's coached at North Boone. He's coached at Rock Valley with Jeremy Warren. I mean, and again, he's an alum as well. So guys like that are vested, not only love the game, but, really, really enjoy because we're up in Rockton and we're back where we got a chance to play ball and so not all my staff's, former alum, but it certainly helps. And
right. Absolutely.
It makes it fun. That's for certain.
Sure. Let's talk a little bit about your offense. I mean, you guys in the last 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, you guys have put up over 97 points. That's astounding. Over 2 weeks. How well can you guys continue to play at such a clip, Coach?
Well, honestly, I hope we absolutely can continue to put points on the board. I believe that the goal is to average about 28 if we can, and we've exceeded that. But we've got just so many playmakers right now. I can't recall, to be honest with you, when I felt like going into week 1 that our offense was ahead of our defense. And that speaks volumes, to be honest with you, because offense is so much more intricate. There's so much going on with that. But to have our starting quarterback and Cole Warren, to have him return is phenomenal. I think he does a great job. Of course, Isaiah Huey, he's our slot receiver and defensive back as well. But it just seems like those two have a great connection. And and they, I don't say they read each other's minds because that wouldn't be true, but they certainly have an understanding. And I guess it all starts with our offensive line, having 3 returning starters, and Cale Walls is our center. He's a junior that stepped up, and he's just been playing really well in there next to Drake Brogy, left guard, Isaac Chuck Smith, left tackle. I got Jacob Benson and his little brother, who's a sophomore, Max Benson. I can't really call him a little brother because he's so big. He's, phenomenal. I mean, like I said, these guys have just
Sure.
they've really been the foundation, honestly, opening holes and getting stuff done up front. So I can't say
Sure.
enough about those guys,
Sure. Sure. You talk about Cole Warren. He started last year for his junior season. He comes back senior year. Last year, he looked really good. This year, he looks great, Coach. I mean, do you know why that is? I mean, the kid really looked poised Friday night. He looked like a true point guard out there on Friday night. I don't know if he plays basketball, but he looked
He
like a
does.
point guard.
Yeah.
He just really the maturation over the last year is just phenomenal. Can you speak to that?
It's in all my years of experience, it's amazing to see these kids transform from junior to senior year. I've got a few other
Sure,
players, not to get away from Cole. I've got a few other players this year too that just between their junior and senior year, they're different young men. They've matured.
sure,
It's just something that happens. So it's a natural progression. So to see Cole go through that, I know that that young man puts in so much time. He would show up on Sundays with a group of receivers, and they would, whether it was in the field house or whether it was outside in the summer,
sure,
they're just throwing the heck out of the ball. And that was a big part of the connection I think he has with some of his receivers. The 7-on-7s that we do, he attended quite a few camps this summer, and he's looking at several different schools, hoping for an opportunity,
sure,
post high school. But no, like I said, he just is he's a great young man. I've actually had very fortunate to have him in class right now as well, just getting to know him a little bit more, from that.
sure,
But like I said, it's the time he's committed to his craft, for certain,
sure.
that
Yeah, you can definitely see that.
is the improvement that you're seeing. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
mean, that's
definitely.
part of it. And
Yeah, you definitely. Go ahead.
his love of the game. I mean, I'm not kidding
Yeah.
you. He loves the guys he plays with. You can see that. He's
Yep.
always got. I mean, even when times get tough, I see him sometimes show frustration, but he's always got a smile. I've commended him since his sophomore year on that. I
Right.
love this kid. I mean, I love seeing him. He's always, like I said, he's always upbeat. He's always positive, and I think that goes
Yep.
so far at that
Yeah.
position,
Yeah.
because I think he can settle down. If there's a bad play or something, I think he can settle the rest of the team down in the
Right.
huddle there, and
Right. Right.
obviously they trust him, and
Right.
they
And
should.
I saw that.
Yep.
And I saw that on Friday night. Pass didn't get caught. Receiver dropped the ball.
Right.
Receiver came back to the huddle, and I'm watching the offense and seeing how he actually interacts with the players. And he'd hit the kid on the back of the head with the helmet. Not sure what he said, but you can really see his leadership from the field, and you can tell that he commands his troops in the huddle. And it seems like the players have a lot of respect for him. But his level of play Friday night definitely put him in the driver's seat to become one of the, if not the premier quarterbacks within the area for sure. So was very well pleased with his play the other night.
Yeah, and like I said, he's so athletic. I mean, he can. What I love about it is not only his comprehension for what we run, the RPO stuff, but if he decides to pull that ball, he's got enough athleticism that he can make plays with his legs. And
Sure.
there's been years where we haven't had that. There's years when
Right.
we haven't had that guy that can just take off and run, and he can do that. And he's got the arm strength and the intelligence. He goes through his
Sure.
progression, just like we've asked him to do. And
Sure.
like you said, that's tremendous right there alone.
Sure. Sure. How well do you think that we talked about Warren. Let's shift gears here a little bit here real quick. Let's talk about Huey for a second. I mean, such a dynamic playmaker on offense and defense, special teams as well. I mean, the kid's just Mr. Utility, do it all. Speak to his presence when he's out there on offense, and what does that allow other players to do? Does that allow other players to really get involved in the offense? Sometimes I know Huey can draw some double coverage. Speak to that.
We've talked to him. I've talked to him about that. I can remember I met with him back in January, actually, he and his father, and we were talking a little bit about his role this upcoming season, and we talked about his, what his aspirations were for college, and we probably actually, and his dad Sean is a former player of mine as well,
Sure.
back in the day when I was coaching. So again, that's another connection that I appreciate. But no, Isaiah is number one. He's just a quality human being. He's just a great person. So I got to speak
Sure.
on that as well. And again, fortunate I have him in class as well. And just so awesome to have that. But when he's on the field, I you've got to pay attention to where he's at. He's so dynamic. Rarely, and this is what's interesting is, we said we of course are coaches, and we were critical at times as well of him, but he dropped 2 passes on Friday night, and so
Yeah,
it
I did see that.
non-typical of him.
Right.
But at the
Right.
same time, we were like, if he catches that, he goes to the house with it.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
yeah, but we talked to him. Like I said, I was talking to him way back then. I said, hey, there are gonna be times, when we line you up on offense, and we're going to put you in motion one way, and we're going the other way away from you.
Right.
I said it, but honestly, Cole's got such confidence in him. He'll throw the ball
Hmm.
to him, even if he's double covered, probably,
Right.
and expect him
Right.
to come down with it. And we've seen it. We've seen it countless times in practice. We've seen it in 7-on-7s. He will get it. He'll go up and get it. And there was
Sure.
one that I thought he had it, to be quite honest with you. I thought that he came down with it, and when he hit the ground, it came loose. But he's just. I mean, he's got another step this season,
Sure.
and you see that on some of the videos that I've been watching. I was like,
Sure.
holy cow! I see it
Right.
live, and then I go back and watch it. I'm like,
Right.
that was so dynamic. That little
Sure.
juke move that he's got, and yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
He's got that burst, man. He's a real treat to watch. I
yeah.
love watching him play. I've been
But
watching him ever since he was a freshman. I see the growth over the years for
Right.
sure.
But go back to your original question was, yeah, so there's a lot of times where we're going to try to decoy him if we can,
Right.
honestly.
Makes sense.
It doesn't make him very, very happy. So that's why
Right.
we don't do it. We try to
Right.
not do it too frequently,
Sure.
because I
Sure.
want that guy catching the ball as many touches as I can give him.
Absolutely.
I want to touch, I want to have that
Absolutely.
opportunity. So
Yeah. I
I
mean, why
think
wouldn't you? He's one of the best. He's, in my estimation, he's probably one of the best playmakers that we have in the area, that we've seen in a while. I mean, he's really, really, truly got some special
Well,
talent.
going back to the Jefferson game, I think he touched the ball 4 times, and I think he scored 3.
Oh,
And
wow.
then he had that punt return for a touchdown, but we got it called back for a penalty. So I mean, I was just beside myself. I'm like, wow, this
Sure.
is unbelievable. So
Sure. Sure.
yeah, yep.
Talk a little bit. We're gonna stay on offense for about another minute or so, but talk a
Okay,
little bit about Poppy. Am I saying that last name correctly?
you're
Poppy.
correct. Absolutely,
Okay,
Lucas
Poppy.
Poppy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, Poppy. I like some of the things that he did the other night. He's not a burner, which is okay. But he breaks in the open field. He's got some moves. Talk a little bit about him, and what he means to that offense.
Well, I can't talk about Poppy without talking about Victor. Those two guys were our running backs as juniors
Sure.
last season. And Eston Victor probably had more carries than Lucas did, but
Sure.
and you finally Eston's been nursing a hamstring injury from the summer, so Poppy got the carries, and more carries. He got all the carries early in Jefferson. He got the carries there because Eston was still sidelined. He didn't even dress for us. So Poppy just. I call him kind of a bruiser when it comes to running the ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
That's
can
what I saw.
he can hit the gaps and he can make the plays.
Right.
He's not quite the guy who's going to carry 2 or 3 guys on his back,
Right.
but he's
Right.
also a guy that hits that hole and goes through it. He's not afraid to go north south or
Sure.
go straight ahead. But he can also got a little jump cut there, and he can get to the outside.
Sure.
He's a little bit elusive sometimes. So again, he's just
Yep.
another one that complements everything else that we do. And then you saw, Victor was dressed and ready to go on Friday night against Harlem, and you saw him he had some moves. He had that nice big carry. He got caught from behind, and we were joking with him about that actually this morning in practice.
Right.
But and then we've got a few other guys. Brock Anderson, 31, is a junior bruiser. I mean, this kid is just so solid.
Right.
Number 35, Grayson Motter. Here's a kid that didn't play football since junior tackle, and he came to me last spring and he said, "Coach, my parents finally agreed to let me play, and I haven't seen this kid even walk in the hall. I didn't know who he was." And all of a sudden now, I'm not kidding you. This guy is phenomenal. He wins the sprints after practice. He's out there. He kicks for us.
Wow.
He's phenomenal. I mean, so all of a sudden now we've got a stable of 4 backs that I'm like, and I didn't even mention Kurt Smith, who's our outside linebacker, number 27. That poor young man, he's a great running back, but he never gets an opportunity because number one, we play him on defense, but number two, he's behind these other guys because we do start him on defense. We don't want to give him, we don't want to put him out there as a mop-up running back because he's not.
Right.
He's, like I said, he's not a mop-up running back. He's a great running back in his own respect. He just doesn't get the opportunities because these other guys, and he's playing D. So anyway.
Yeah, I was very impressed with your run game. I really was. Again, I think you got some bruisers back there, and I think you guys got a really balanced offense from what I saw the other night. Again, having Warren at quarterback and then having Poppy and the other guys you mentioned in the running back, and then having Huey where you can line him up. I mean, pretty much anywhere on the field in your offense. So, you guys have a really balanced, dynamic offense this year, and it's going to be really a good treat to see you guys really make some noise in the conference the rest of the way. Coach, let's pivot here real quick. I know we've spent some time on offense, but let's talk about your defense. I mean, you guys. I mean, I won't use the term shut them down, but in a roundabout way, I will. You actually held one of the premier running backs in the conference, Jumani Hamid, to 20 yards rushing. I mean, that says a lot about your defense. I mean, can you talk a little bit about how good your defense is this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. We've got 7 guys returning from last season defensively, and Isaiah Huey, is one of them, and that obviously is big for starters right there. But defensively, we always take some pride in defense that we get 9, 10, 11 guys to the ball. So it's typically not just one guy making that play. That we really take pride in the fact that we're trying to get as many guys to the ball as we can. And we'll start with the defensive line. That's what I coach with those guys. And I got Big Mike Florian, number 99, and last season I believe he got injured. He got injured at the Harlem game, to be honest with you, in week 2. And twisted an ankle and was kind of hamstrung, bummed up most of the season. That was kind of a big loss for us because he's really an anchor in the middle. He's a 3-year starter for us. Excuse me. And, he makes some big plays in there. Andre Pilgrim, number 8, big defensive end for us. And he started last season, all season and made some plays, but talk about a young man who just works his butt off. And not only in the weight room have we seen the huge improvement, but after he would lift, he would sit up there and work moves for I'm not kidding you, 15, 20 minutes. I'm like, all right, Andre, we got to get out of here. Let's go. I'm like, all right,
Right. But kid likes to work, it sounds like.
Yeah, just guys like that they're incredible. I could go through and name every single guy and the amount of time that they put in and so forth. But like I said, our focus is everybody's doing their job and we're filling our gaps. And I believe it doesn't matter if we're an even front or an odd front. I think that we've got the personnel and we've got the linebacker core that's going to be right where they need to be, filling the holes that are created in our secondary. I think our secondary is much improved, to be honest. A young man, number 16, Will Roberts. he's something. He was another one that had some injuries last season that kept him off the field. But this guy just flies around, and he's got the energy. He's been communicating really well with everyone. So can't say enough about these guys.
Sure. Yeah. Defense. I mean, like I said, defense, your defense really played a lights out game. I thought on Friday night, just really slowing Muhammad down because, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about him not being one of the premier athletes backs in the conference.
And I got a ton of respect for Harlem. When it comes to personnel, the last couple of seasons, it seems like they've had 4, 5, 6 different guys that we couldn't key on anybody. This season, of course, we only saw film on them for one game, their game against Auburn. But it didn't seem like they had that stable of guys that they've had previously. And to be honest with you, we keyed on their quarterback, number 2. We keyed on 21 Muhammad because we knew those are the two guys. If we could shut those two guys down, excuse me, we knew that. We had a pretty good shot at doing well. And to be honest with you, the game plan was very solid, and it worked.
Right. Yeah. Again, defense was stellar. Real quick, Coach. You got the Vikings coming up this week actually. They're without their starting quarterback. What are you expecting to do this week against the Vikings? And how has practice gone so far this week? I know it's only Monday, but you guys are probably coming off a really, really strong high, beating Harlem at home. I'm pretty sure you and the staff told the guys, hey guys, let's relish this for the moment. Let's get back to work because we have the Vikings. We have to go visit on Friday night.
Yeah.
Vikings usually play you guys well. What are some of the things that you would like to do to continue to keep the ball rolling for the Indians this year?
Well, exactly what you just said. We met as a staff on Saturday, the defensive unit, and actually Sunday I met with the offensive unit, and then today we put it all together with our guys this morning. Unfortunately, I said we play Friday night, so I know it's Labor Day, guys, but we're going to meet we were there from 8 to about 10:45 today, and the film room and a little bit of walkthrough and finished up on the field there. But no, we really, the message I tried to give them was we had a great start here. Excuse me. We had a great start so far. We want to keep that up. Ultimately, I don't want to look past anybody. And certainly not the Vikings. I think that they had a great season at 7-2 last season. I know they graduated a lot of guys, but ultimately, they're a little bit younger this year. It looks like from their lineup, the personnel that we've seen, starting a sophomore quarterback, but they've got some good running backs, a couple of decent linemen, and we're going to have to come out and just. Our goal is to get better every week, and I told our guys, I said that's pretty tough thing to do when we're playing at such a high level in the first 2 games. But I said, whether you're a receiver and you drop the ball, or whether you're the running back and you didn't quite get that, that breakaway or whatever that may be, defensively, missed a tackle, whatever. I'm like, let's shore it up. Let's penalty. I think we had 10 penalties last week as well, so that was something that. Those are things that we have to clean up and so forth. But I think the boys got the message, which is we have to continue to improve if we want to be conference champs. If we want to, quite honestly, I said there are 2 teams that beat us last season, and those 2 teams are 2-0 as well right now. And if we don't get better, they will. And it's that battle. So, I try to relay that message to the guys and make sure that they don't overlook anybody, and that's the key, I think, is that you can't rest on your laurels. You can't go into any game unprepared. So we prepare every single week, just like we do. I don't care if it's, Titan week or Belvedere North week or Viking week, we're going to do the best we can, put our kids in a good position, and hopefully, like you said, they go out and perform. And
makes sense.
And that's the thing every week we talk about. We say, don't beat yourselves, put yourselves in a good place. And we really are playing ourselves more than any
Sure.
team. So,
Sure. Sure.
yep.
Coach, real quick, I got a couple more questions here, and we're gonna
No
wrap
worries.
it up. But how important is your fan base to your accomplishments out there on Friday night? I mean,
Um,
what I saw Friday night, I mean, you guys got one of
yeah.
the, I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there. You guys do have one of the best fan bases in the area. That's without question. How important is that to your program?
Well, I think it certainly fires our kids up. I know that our student section is huge. As long as they don't do that baby powder thing like Harlem did and smoke us out like they did at Boylan a couple of years ago.
I
I
did see
love them.
that.
I got a little uptight that game. We were all
Sure.
choking to death on the sideline. But yeah, I like the blackout on Friday night much better. No powder. So no, our student section is phenomenal. And I give a lot of credit to our administration for working with our student section and giving them some parameters, to follow.
Sure.
But they're awesome. Our parents, honestly, our parents are phenomenal. We got a great fan base in those two, and then our community, and that's the other thing, that having grown up in the area and going to Hononegah and as a graduate and stuff, there's so many people in the Rockton Roscoe area that really take pride in the fact that they went to Hononegah, and I've got so many people that come back that don't have kids, and they just come to watch high school football.
Sure.
It's really cool, and so yeah, we're very fortunate. And I'm going to compare that to some of the smaller schools like Stillman Valley and Byron and
Right.
All of those, North Boone, all those places where you've got smaller communities. We just happen to be a little bit larger, and we're, like you said, so fortunate in that respect. And but Harlem brought a lot of people too.
Oh
And
yeah,
our
they did.
place,
They did. They bought a busload. They
we
bought a busload
mentioned it.
for
Yeah,
sure.
we mentioned it on Saturday when we were watching film. We're like, holy cow! You just don't really. I mean, I don't honestly turn around and look behind me a whole lot.
Right.
I'm focused
Sure.
on what's on the field. But when
Absolutely.
you're watching the film and we're kicking an extra point and you're looking down and there's just people all the way around that stadium, all the
Yeah.
way around that
Yeah.
fence, just watching, like, holy cow! It's really a little bit overwhelming when you
Yeah.
look at
Yeah.
it like that.
And it's got to be exciting for those players too. Particularly now some of those kids are at the varsity level, coming up from the sophomore level,
Yep.
where you don't have everybody's not in the stands for the sophomore games,
Right.
unfortunately. But
Right.
for the varsity game now, it's like, okay, we got 3,000 or 2,500 fans sitting in the stands screaming and yelling. It's got to be really, really exciting for those athletes that are juniors.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys have a
It's
phenomenal
awesome.
fan base
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah,
for
and
sure. For sure.
honestly, and that's the one thing that I don't talk a whole lot about, that because maybe I take it for granted,
Right.
because we've always had it. It's always been there. It's
Sure.
always been a factor that
Sure.
you know, um, yeah. So it's
Sure.
pretty awesome though.
Kind of like that 12th man at Texas A&M,
Yeah, a little
at
bit.
Hononegah, maybe.
Yep, yep. And as long as they're not yelling at us, we're happy about that. They're
Right. Right. Exactly.
yelling for their
Don't
yelling
want
for their
that.
for our athletes
Right.
and against the other team. There you go.
Hey, Coach, real quick in closing here, where do you want to be in 7 weeks?
I want to
Where
be
do you where do you
undefeated.
sell? Where do you you want to?
Yeah.
Okay. Great answer.
Honestly, we want to run the table.
Sure.
We
Is that Coach? Is that conceivable in your
um,
estimation?
I believe it is. Obviously we got by. We got by the Huskies, and that was the first test.
Sure.
And I don't even want to bring up the other ones, although I've already alluded to it. I've already said that
Right.
that Belvedere North and Boylan are two of the big dogs that
Sure.
we struggled with last season, and
Sure.
we get so that's our test. Are we improving to the point where we can play those teams and
Sure.
and get the W this year?
Right. Right. Because it looks like here, if I'm not mistaken, you guys don't see Boylan and Belvedere North till week 6 and week 7. Is that accurate?
Yes, I believe so. We've got Is that 2, 3, 4? Maybe it's week 5. I think we have Boylan, and maybe 6.
Okay.
I'm trying to recall
Okay.
now. I don't have the schedule sitting. Actually, maybe I do. Hold on.
So my my
East
question
is in there. You're absolutely
was,
correct. Yes, you're
was that
correct.
correct? Okay.
I've got it in
All
front
right.
of me.
All
Yeah,
right.
we see Boylan week 7, and we see North
Okay.
week 8, back to back.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, those,
So in my
yeah.
eyes, Coach, I mean, you guys could easily, just looking at the schedule, no slight to any other teams that you're going to play here the next few weeks, but I'm just going by history. You guys could easily be 5-0 going into week 6 against my alma mater, Boylan High School.
It's possible. It's very possible.
Okay.
And obviously that's where we'd like to be.
Sure.
And if that's the case, we play at Boylan this season. And
Sure.
the nice thing for us is it's just a little jaunt down the road. It's not too far.
Sure. Sure.
It's
and of
always,
course, and of course, the whole town of Rockton and Roscoe comes out, right?
Yeah, they typically do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But Boylan's got a pretty good fan base as well.
Sure.
And Dooley,
absolutely,
and they absolutely should, because they've been the team to beat for a long time. So,
exactly.
Yep. So I'm anticipating that to be a good one.
Yeah. It's always a treat to see that rivalry. It's been existing for over 30 plus years, and just to see it continue 40 years later is just a treat. Really, it really is.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And Coach Cacciatore, I've known him for a long time. I can remember when he was a player back in the day when I first started. He'll have them well prepared.
Absolutely. Both of you guys will. Hey, Coach. Hey, thanks for joining the Bailey Pod. Good luck the rest of the way, man. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Good luck this weekend, and stay healthy.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. And
all right, Coach.
And appreciate everything. Yep.
Okay. Talk to you soon, Coach.
All right. Yep. Bye-bye.